My name's Scott Bradley. Amy's boyfriend for 12 years. Boyfriend doesn't seem like the right word. Nothing, thank you very much. Nothing really does. She was the love of my life. She was my best friend. She was my collaborator. And I'm going to try real hard not to wrap things here on a downbeat note, but I just got to tell you, 7 weeks ago yesterday, my world ended. And I have the most amazing support system someone could ask for. I have my own family. I have Amy's family. I have wonderful friends, near and far. But when I woke up the morning of Saturday, August 10th, and found her, and then was shortly informed that she was gone, a part of me died too. She was about 5'5", I think, in height. 5'2"? Maybe. She was about here on me. And that's how much feels like it's gone. I feel like one of those disembodied heads in the bad 50s horror movie, they saved Scott's brain instead of they saved Hitler's brain. I know I'll get through this. I know Amy would want me to. Oh God, this is hard. So I'm sorry to start things off here with a Debbie Downer, but I'm going to tell you a story that I think, I don't know, there's something there. Like I said, Amy and I were together for 12 years. We met, I remember this very vividly, in October of 2001. About a month after 9/11 was our first date. I remember how extraordinary it was to meet someone so incredible in this, I'm just absorbed this unbelievable trauma that we all did. And let me say, I didn't lose anyone personally, I just was absorbed in one. And Amy and I met over the internet. We met through the personal ads. She had placed a personal ad that actually was rather terse and a little cranky. I later found out why. It was because she had just come out of the experience of the Carlos Castaneda group. And she was very lonely and wanted to meet new people. She had very few friends and people in her life because she had cut off from this group. And Richard Jennings told her she should place a personal ad. Now, I need to say a few words here about Richard Jennings, who's not here today, but he is here in spirit. This was a man that was part of the Carlos group too, and broke with it around the same time Amy did. And as he said, They deprogram each other. They ultimately drifted apart as people who went through harrowing experiences often do after kind of processing them. But he was devastated to hear of her death. And like I said, he's very much here in spirit and is someone that I think was really the right person at the right time in his life. So anyway, she had placed a personal ad, and you know, she described herself as an eccentric author and listed a few promising interests and posted a very attractive photograph of herself. And that was about it. Like I said, it was terse. So I was single at the time. She was 47 years old. On her ad, I was 29. Age difference didn't bother me, so I wrote, not knowing anything about her, and of course naturally asked what kind of writing do you do? She wrote back and said, well, yeah, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know whether I was going to get, you know, sort of like a hobbyist, you know, wannabe screenwriter, I mean, journalist, who knows, right? And she wrote back and said, well, I published, I think at that time it was 12 books, and now I think it's like 15. And you're probably too young to remember this, but my father was a very famous writer named Wallace, and I was probably most successful for working with my family on a series called The Book of Lists. Okay, big flashback here. Like I said, I'm a little younger than Amy. When I was a kid, I was a precocious and promiscuous reader. And I, at that time, I remember, I was born in 1972, so do the math. Young adult literature hadn't really gone through the renaissance that we've seen now, where new generations of readers are really being created and guided, you know. There were a few, of course, classic books, but the rest of it was pretty lame. So if you were a real reader, you know, you kind of had to jump to the grown-up stuff. And that's where the sex and violence was anyway, so that, you know, everybody wins, right? And so I was, you know, I was like totally, I mean, I was totally like a kid, you know. I think around 11 I started reading my gateway drug were Ian Fleming's James Bond novels because I loved the movies. And my dad started me on the ones that were most like the movies, and then I kind of worked my way to the ones that were like, wow, The Spy Who Loved Me is really different than the movie version. You know, Frederick Forsyth and Robert Ludlum, and you know, and also I was reading, you know, Carr, Stephen King, Dean Koontz, you know, just yeah, all the popular fiction, you know, and I didn't get to Irving Wallace till I was about 13, and I'll tell you guys why, because even though I had totally heard of him, I thought he was more like those guys like Harold Robbins and Sidney Sheldon, who I wasn't interested in. But then, this is going to sound so weird, I don't know if I ever told you guys this story. There was a really bad miniseries made of one of Irving Wallace's novels called The Word. The book's fantastic. The miniseries is dreadful. When I was 13, 14 years old, I saw this miniseries. It was a rerun of it on cable. And even then, I knew it was just dreadful, but I was so fascinated. For those of you who don't know the story of the word, it was the Da Vinci Code 30 years before the Da Vinci Code. It was a thriller that was exploring these questions about faith and authenticity of the Gospels and Gnosticism, but doing it in this, you know, action-packed intrigue, you know, kind of way. And my dad pointed out that, because I was saying, wow, this could have been so cool, like I do now, but they say it was terrible. My dad pointed out, my parents very liberal, very much encouraging, pointed out, well, it's based on a novel by a very famous writer. Why don't you read the book and see if it's better? So I went to the used bookstore a couple of times a week, and to get my reads for that week. So the next time I went, I went, and this place was great. You guys would have loved it. It was in Springfield, Missouri, by the way, Southwest Missouri. So that's a whole thing. Anyway, this place was great because it was just completely disorganized, and yet the guy knew where every single book was. And the guy was like, my friends and I called him, behind his back, obviously, Norman Bates. Because he really had this like kind of creepy, like mom stuff at home kind of quality to him. I mean, you know, what are weird kids? You know, what can I say? But he was a weird guy. So anyway, went to the used bookstore, asked for the word by Irving Wallace. I devoured that sucker in, I think, 2 or 3 days. Now, that's a thick, dense book. And I was and am a pretty fast reader, but that's doing pretty good, and especially for a kid. But I was just hooked from the first sentence, where an advertising man is paged urgently by his office in an airport. I think it's in Kennedy Airport. And this guy is going to be, he gets drawn into this web of intrigue described here. I'm in the discovery of a lost gospel. And I was like, I finished this book and I was like, okay, I'm in. And, you know, so I wasn't reading them in any discernible order. It was just sort of like I was just excavating through the stacks of this, you know, place. And, yard doctor, there's, 7 minutes, you know. And you know, so some of them, you know, it took me down some strange paths. The fan club was quite an eye-opener. What that book was about. And so I had, you know, and I still do things like this to this day, and I'm 41 years old, so I'm still a little boy at heart. I wrote Irving Wallace a fan letter. I did this old school, Jack. I mean, I went to Who's Who in America, and I sent it care of, it was probably either his agency or his publisher, whatever the contact info of Who's Who with it. And I got a response. Okay? I was postmarked August 20th, 1986. I was 14 years old. Amy was 31. That sounds criminal now. But, and here's what Irving Wallace wrote to me. Very short and to the point. Dear Scott, thank you for your kind words. Next novel, The Celestial Bed, about sex servants. I said to him that I'm 14 years old and I love the book. And I love that you wrote back and just matter-of-factly said my book's about sex tourism. I mean, what a cool dad you have. I mean, it's just sort of like, you know, I mean, I didn't entirely understand what a sex surrogate was, actually, when I got this letter. It took reading your dad's book to find out. Due April in hardcover, a year later in paperback from Calicourt Press, then Dow. So, you know, good promotion, right? You know, short fiction. I obviously asked him, I so wish I kept copies of my letters, but you know, what the 14-year-old would think, yeah. But I obviously asked him if he published short fiction. He said, published short stories in magazines 40 years ago. My favorite, The Prize and the Man. I had obviously asked him what his favorites of his books were. And when I told Amy about this, she said that no, she had never actually asked him that question. And she, so, was she doing something? It's like, read next, either of the above. As I had said, what should I read next? Miniseries, I'm sure I asked, you know, will there be movies or TV? CBS will do The Seventh Secret probably in 1987. I don't think that ever happened. It's too bad, it's a good book. Best wishes, sincerely, Irving Wallace. And here is this signature that so many people comment on, because I obviously never met him. He passed away in 1990. But from everything Amy told me and just people said, he was such just an enormous personality and such incredible accomplishment, and yet he had this very precise, humble signature. And so, also in my reading of his fiction, along those times, same time, I discovered, yes, the book of lists. And I was one of those people, I don't know, I assume there were other people, but I wasn't the only one, that became like, I was like obnoxious with it. I mean, I would be like, hey, you know, my dad would be trying to watch, you know, TV or something. Hey, you want to know, you know, blah, 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 you know, well, what country has more sheep than people, you know? My parents, God bless them, were very encouraging of all of this. But I was obsessed with every page of that book, even the sports stuff, which is your bailiwick and so not my kind of thing. I found fascinating. I mean, these guys made everything. The Wallace family made the world bigger. And so, okay, so this is a little bit like a Nicholas Roeg movie. Flash back forward to when I get this email from Amy saying who she is. After I pick my jaw up off the floor, I start typing back, I hope you're sitting down because you're not going to believe this. And I recount everything I've just recounted to you, right down to the fact that I literally had copies of all the books that was up to that point. Bookshelf next to my desk. Well, obviously, a phone call was in order. Our first phone call, I think, lasted 5 hours. We met shortly after that, and the rest, as they say, is history. We gave birth to a book together with our friend Del Howison, the Book of Lists Horror, which was the first book that ever had my name on the cover as a writer. I published another book since then. This one a novel. We saw each other through the deaths, the losses of each other's mothers, hers from a lengthy, debilitated after the lengthy process of deterioration after a debilitating stroke. My mother, very suddenly, very unexpected, not actually unlike the way I lost Amy. We had some really amazing times, and we had some really, really bad times. A lot of you in this room probably heard some really horrible things about me. And I know you also heard some wonderful things about me. We did not have a perfect relationship. We were not perfect people here. But we loved each other with a profundity. We shared so much. We raised 2 cats together, a boy and a girl, Hank and Bella, Hank the tuna, who had rescue cats who had never met each other before, and we adopted them, and they fell in love. So it was sort of like a cross between living with perpetual 3-year-olds and another couple of menage a cat. That's a clever little, you get it? Attitude French cat. That's about as good as I get. And Bella passed away a couple of years ago, and we got each other through that, and Hank got us both through that. And now Hank lives with me, and we're a couple of widowers, and we've just been holding on to each other a lot, and watching episodes of The Simpsons, and we watched The Wild Bunch the other night, which I could never convince Amy to see. She watched so many movies that she was very reluctant to see because I had a taste for extreme things that she did not share. She never really could get her to read The Wild Bunch. And I don't know, I just don't know how people do this. I really don't. I don't know. I was talking to my dad just last night, and I was just like, I don't know how you did it. And I see why the cliche is the cliche. It's because it's true. It's one day at a time. It's reaching out for help when you need it. It's snuggling in with your cat and just being by yourself when you need it. It's fine when you need it. It's remembering her always. Always. I want to end this with one final epilogue. Sorry, I know this has been very long. It's hot in here, and dessert is waiting, which Amy would not approve of me delaying. When I realized that I really had fallen in love with Amy Wallace, your sister, and that I thought she loved me, I gave her a copy of a book that's very, very important to me. You have permission to laugh because this is going to sound like the most ridiculous romantic gift book ever given. Between Silk and Cyanide, A Code Maker's War, 1941 to 1945. Not exactly Shakespeare's sonnets, but this is the autobiography of a man named Leo Marx, and that's Marx with a K. And without going off on too much of a digression within the digression, This man created a system of encoding for agents that were being sent into Nazi-occupied Europe during World War II that was based on using poems. But they weren't well-known poems. They weren't, for instance, Shakespeare. Because the Nazis could crack those because they were known commodities. This guy wrote hundreds of original poems himself. He was a cryptographer. His father had been owner of the famous bookshop at 84 Charing Cross Road. And Leo Marx and his unit wrote hundreds of these code poems. And Dwight D. Eisenhower said that their unit shortened the war by 6 months with their work as code makers and breakers. This story wasn't declassified until the 60s, I think. And it was discovered that these poems were amazing. This guy was writing these just boom, 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 and they were all based on repetitions and certain rhymes and things that would be easy to remember. He wasn't consciously going for art, but art was happening. I knew this was exactly the kind of Significa that Amy would find fascinating. So I gave her this book. This is her copy. I want to read you what I inscribed into it, and then I want to read you what is arguably the most famous of the so-called code poems. None of these poems have titles because they were never intended to be deep. But it's popularly known as The Life That I Have. But first, the inscription. To Amy, the one who cracked the code of my heart. You get it? Cryptography. It is suave. Love, Scott. Again, it's the thought. And this was written in December 1943. Again, the author is Leo Marx. Marx with a K. The life that I have is all that I have. And the life that I have is yours. The love that I have. Excuse me. Just one moment. The love that I have of the life that I have is yours and yours and yours. A sleep I shall have, a rest I shall have, yet that will be but a pause, for the peace of my years in the long green grass will be yours and yours and yours. Goodbye, Amy. Thank you very much.